Hey everybody, it's me, Dan, and it is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, and that means it's webinar time here at Happy Grasshopper. So thank you so much. I'm just always overjoyed that so many of you register and tune in for our webinars. It's one of my key delights, really, is to share the things that I've learned that have really helped me in my career. And today we have just an amazing guest who's going to blow your mind with his knowledge and more importantly, his ability to transfer his knowledge to you about all things video. So say hey, everybody. I see we've got, looks like over 70 people here now. More people are pouring in every moment. The number's going up and up and up. So hello, Philip. Hello, Randon. Hello, Ricky, Robin, Russell, Stacy, Stephanie, Sue, Todd, Tom. Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you're here. Usually at the front of a webinar like this, we have just a ton of people who are still logging in and getting registered. We have just under 800 people who've registered for this webinar today. And I expect that we'll get close, if not all the way to that 500 attendee limit here with GoToWebinar. So welcome those of you who are just signing in. I see that number still rapidly climbing. I'm going to be introducing the good Mr. Cory Bergeron here in just a moment. Now, before I do that, I want to make sure you're all clear about why you're here, right? There's going to be a lot of really good stuff covered today. We're going to tackle Video Production 101. We absolutely are. We're also going to take a look at video marketing, right? It's 2018. We need to talk about video marketing trends, and you need to have a plan for using video in your business. Then we're going to dig into content, right? Because, you know, think of it this way. You can have a wonderful video. The production values can be absolutely perfect. Your lighting, your sound, your editing, all of it can just be wonderful. And if your message isn't right, it's all for naught. And on the other hand, of course, you can have a fantastic message. And if your audio is all garbled and your lighting's poor, it's not going to make the impact that it can. And because Cory is so well regarded and well known in the industry, he's got some really cool stories to tell us as well. One of those is what it's like to work with a shark from Shark Tank. So Cory's business partner is Kevin Harrington, who I'm sure many of you will know from Shark Tank. So we're going to hear all about that as well. Now, for those of you who are just joining, maybe you haven't been on one of our webinars before, give you a little bit of background about myself. My name's Dan Stewart. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been self-employed for most of my professional life, almost 20 years now. In that time, I've started 7 companies, which is pretty cool. Today, I'm the co-founder of Happy Grasshopper, and you know, it's just my pride and joy. It's an absolute pleasure to get to do what I do every day, and I look forward to it. And along the way, I get to do some other neat stuff too. I have a book I've written called Seriously Happy Selling, and that's going to be launched on the market here in March, so just a little ways away. I also do quite a lot of public speaking, traveling around the country. You'll see me at different events. Now let's talk about what today isn't. This is not a Happy Grasshopper webinar. Okay, so if you're here to learn about what we do, how we do it, whether or not we're right for you, you've come to the wrong place. Sorry about that. So that doesn't mean we don't want to help you, of course. Just go to happygrasshopper.com. You can learn a lot there. Go to happygrasshopper.com/apply, and you can actually book a free call with one of our marketing specialists. So during that call, they will review with you what your marketing plan is. They'll look at your lead flow. They'll look at the sources your leads are coming from. They'll look at how you're responding and following up to those leads. And we'll figure out a plan for you that will optimize the results that you're getting. So yeah, just head over to happygrasshopper.com/apply if that's right for you. And of course, if you need help with anything, I have a whole staff of people standing by back at the office. So there's the toll-free number on the screen, and there's my email address for you as well. So, you know, speaking for myself and my entire staff, we're here for you. So whatever we can do to serve you, we're absolutely going to do that. And now, let me prep you for the amazing man who's going to join us here in just a moment. This is Cory Bergeron. So I first got to know Cory because I joined a really special CEO roundtable group called Board of Advisors. Cory's one of the most genuine people I've ever met in my life. He's a give, give, give kind of guy. He just wrapped his arms around me, really took a look at some of the things I was doing with video and steered me in the right direction. So I knew for sure he would want, or I knew for sure that he'd be the perfect guy to share with you. And I'm delighted that he's agreed to come on. So Cory, if he looks familiar to you, he should. He's been on TV for well over a decade. He's a television presenter, a producer. He's been the face of over 300 products on QVC and HSN. He's the author of a best-selling book called Thousands Per Minute. And of course, he happens to be a dad, a husband, and my friend. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's say hello to Mr. Cory Bergeron. Cory, are you with us?
I'm here.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Did you turn your camera on? I'm going to go ahead and turn mine off so the audience can focus on you.
I did. My camera's on. I've got it right here. So,
perfect.
Wow, this is really exciting. Thank you for having me, Dan.
Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, I'm so happy you're here. This is fantastic. One of the first things we talked about when we met, I guess it's almost a year ago now, was what Happy Grasshopper was doing in our use of video online. Yeah. And we pulled out our phones, you took a quick look at a couple of things, and in about 3.5 minutes, my mind was just blown because this is a subject, sincerely, I mean, you think you know video, right? Because we've all got it built into our phones today. Yeah. But you don't know what you don't know. You truly do not. And so I'm grateful to you for helping me understand that there was so much more that I needed to learn. So with that said, let's really transition back to what we're all here for today, right? The reason we're here is to cover some of this amazing ground that you've covered in your career, right? These 4 segments. We need to teach our audience about video production, about the state of video marketing, about content that wins, and of course, everybody wants to know what it's like to work with Kevin Harrington. So maybe that's a great place to start. Do you want to start there?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. I'll tell you, Kevin is an amazing man. You're talking about the guy who was the very first shark on Shark Tank. So Mark Burnett, he called Kevin out of the blue and he said, Kevin, hey, it's Mark Burnett. And Kevin said, you mean like the guy that, did the Survivor series? And he said, yeah. And he said, I've got this new show. It's called Shark Tank and I'd like you to be on it. And Kevin said, I've seen what you do to those people on Survivor. I don't know if I want to be part of Shark Tank. and Mark Burnett said, no, it's not like that. So Kevin was actually the very first guy. And the reason is because, of course, he invented the infomercial in 1984. He sold $5 billion worth of products in 100 countries. He's created this huge empire in product sales. And of course, the idea behind Shark Tank was people coming to pitch their products. So you couldn't have asked for a better shark. And, you see somebody on Shark Tank, and granted, Kevin was always the nice guy, right? He's the guy that sat on the other side. He did 175 episodes of Shark Tank, and he sat on the end, and he was kind of the guy that, after everyone got beat up by the other sharks, he was the nice guy. And that drew me to him. But Kevin and I, we kind of ran in the same circles for a while. And of course, I was a host in the infomercial world. I was on the air at HSN and QVC. So our paths crossed continually just because we were part of the same circles. And we talked about being in business together for a while. And finally, I actually competed in a pitching competition where I had my video production company was brand new. I was in front of an entire room of angel investors. And the grand prize was a private mentoring session with Kevin. Well, we already knew each other. And without any rehearsal, I took first place in the pitching competition. So Kevin and I ended up talking and we said, listen, we got to work together, and incidentally, at the time, he was looking for a video production partner. I had just founded my video production business and I knew a whole lot about product sales. So it just dovetailed.
Yeah.
It
Well,
did.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I know it's been a delight to chat with Kevin at the Board of Advisors meetings, and I think it's pretty neat. He's got such a fast mind. There's just so much going on there.
He's so
So many
sharp.
things that he's involved with. Is
Yeah.
he actually like present for you in your business? Does he like
Oh,
show
very
up
much
on a
so.
regular basis? Yeah.
Very much so. There's a short list of businesses that Kevin is involved with almost on a daily basis, and my business is one of them. So, Kevin, of course, we're sitting here in the conference room at our new studios. The studios are still under construction. We're still building out part of those, but we shoot with Kevin here every week, every other week. I call him for advice in developing my own business, and he is constantly involved in helping me kind of take my business to another level, another level, another level. He's just been an incredible mentor, an incredible business partner in every sense of the word. I have so much respect for him. And because he's a celebrity, he could demand, he could be a lot more hoity-toity than he is. And let me tell you, he's so down to earth and so approachable and so warm and wonderful. I couldn't have asked for a better partner. He's amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, good partnerships are heaven, and of course, bad partnerships are the other thing. So I'm glad that's working out for you for sure. Now let's dive into video production 101. I'm going to pull some slides up here for the audience.
Okay.
We talked about these three primary components that go into that, and of course, the fourth would be the editing that has to happen and the way you put it all together.
Absolutely.
Where do you think we should start? If we're just getting started in this video realm, what kind of equipment do we need to put our hands on? Okay,
so what you have to realize is that if every single professional video production company worked round the clock, 24/7, they could not provide even 1% of the amount of marketing video that's actually needed out there in the internet. The demand is huge. So what does that mean? It means it spills over into people trying to create their own video. The problem is there's a lot of noise out there. If you want to see how much noise there is, go to Google and type into the search bar in 1 second on the internet, and it'll pull up several websites. And I can't remember the actual title of the one that I'm thinking of. It's in the top 3, but if you click on it, it'll actually show you how many Google searches there are, how many people are watching videos on YouTube, how many people are on, liking things on Facebook in just 1 second. And every second that goes by, that number just ticks up, and it's mind-blowing. That's the kind of noise that is out there in the internet. So how do you separate yourself from every teenager in the world that has, one of these, right? How do you do that? Because this is a video production studio. How do you look different? Well, there are strategies that you can use for that to make this a viable marketing device. And you can actually do that. You can use this as your professional video camera. When we break out our cameras to do professional video production, as Pitch Video is my video production company, we're using cameras that are $20,000 a piece. But you don't necessarily need to do that. You can create a very solid marketing message just by using your mobile device if you have the right tactics and strategies. Also, when we show up to do a video production, we have a 16-foot box truck with a ton of lighting on it, literally a ton. It's charged by the ton when we charge our clients. You don't need that. You can actually create very compelling marketing video using just a few small strategic purchases that you can get on Amazon and get delivered for a couple $100. I mean, there are equipment options if you want to create really great marketing video. Now, there's always going to be a place for professional marketing video. When we make video for Honeywell, when we make video for Xerox, when we make video for Motorola or Goodyear, when we make video for some of our big partners, we've done Nintendo and JVC and Sony, when we make these types of videos, of course, we're going to be using our 1-ton grip truck. We're going to be using our $20,000 cameras. Right. That's, because there is a bar set there and their competition is, they have to meet that bar. And of course, we're always going to be here to do that for them.
Yeah,
but
I've got a little question, right?
You don't need that, right? Go ahead.
When I think about a $20,000 camera and a ton of lighting, that makes sense, right? Because if you look at the cost of airtime, if I'm filming a Super Bowl commercial, I'm not filming it with my iPhone, right?
No.
You know, here I am broadcasting a webinar and I'm just using the camera that's built into my laptop, right?
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
I think that's a good thing for people to think about, right? You don't need that zillion-dollar technology investment unless you're really going to be using your video in a very expensive place. Now, maybe that's not always completely accurate, but just as a rule of thumb, you know, it seems reasonable to me.
There's a place for professional video production, and
Mm-hmm.
most people aspire to be able to get to that level, to be able to afford to have professional video production. Because believe me, when you have an entire creative staff behind writing a script and you know, professional models and spokespeople on screen that really know what they're doing and are super polished, and you have videographers that know how to capture somebody's attention and professional editors, it's very difficult to replicate that kind of very cinematic and professional look when you're talking about, you know, using a mobile device. However, mobile devices are incredibly successful at creating effective marketing video as long as you understand a couple simple parameters and you have a couple simple pieces of equipment in place, and you're just looking to be able to reach your customer and increase your sales. We've actually created videos on an iPad Pro that we've delivered to our clients that asked for it. And we've gotten, for instance, we did one 3 months ago. In 6 weeks, we got 30 million hits and 125,000 shares. And the guy selling the product ran out of inventory on US soil and had to shut down his entire marketing campaign until he could make more.
That's amazing. That's a good problem. That is a good problem for sure.
Using an iPad and about $400 worth of simple lighting you can get on Amazon.
So speaking of an iPad, I see the slide on the screen now has an iPad. It looks like it's on a tripod there with a case around it.
Yes.
So, you know, is that like, tell us what that's for, what it does, what it costs, why we need one.
Sure. Okay. So one of the things that separates video from somebody who has some instruction, understands how to professionally make it, and every other teenager in the world is being able to actually have a steady shot, right? Everybody can do handheld video. And typically when you watch videos online, they're very jerky, you know, they're all over the place like this. But if you're able to stabilize that video, even if not for the entire video segment, but just for strategic moments, it separates you immediately. And that's what that case is for. Now, that particular case, I can't really endorse any particular brand because I don't really have their permission to do so. But I can tell you that if you just go on Amazon and you were to type in iPad tripod case or iPhone tripod case, it would come up with not only the one you see on your screen there, but a lot of different options that allow you to mount your mobile device into a case that will screw right onto the top of a camera tripod. And it allows you to get that steady shot and have control when everybody else shooting video on the planet is wiggling around all over the place.
Well, that makes sense. And it looks like those mounts there, you could probably screw a different lens into if you needed to.
Yes, and there are a couple different types of lenses. A lot of the more popular lenses are the wide angle or the telephoto lenses that can be actually screwed right onto that case. It's not very hard to use. All you have to really do is just screw it on and take a look at the image. You'll notice the wide angle lens, you really don't want to use that unless you're in a tight situation. You know, if you're trying to shoot video in a very small environment, or if you are, let's say that you're a real estate agent, you want to show off the inside of a house and you want a wider view so that you can see from that room all the way into that room, the wide angle lens is a good tool for that. And yes, that particular case does have little holes where you can actually screw those lenses right on in front of the camera on that iPad. Gotcha.
Gotcha. Okay, very cool. Now on the next slide here, I see a better view of the tripod and the mount there.
Yes.
Is that a microphone you've got in your hand?
It is, and that's really important because when you're talking about separating yourself from the masses, being able to get rid of the noise of everyone else uploading video, everyone has audio that pretty much just comes through the microphone on their phone or on their iPad. The problem is the further you get from that phone or that iPad, not only the further away you sound, but the more noise is going to be picked up around you, right? You're going to end up with, the car going by and the helicopter that's circling your neighborhood. Well, I hope a helicopter's not circling your neighborhood. That could be bad, but you get the idea, right? It sounds further away. It's more echoey, more reverb. When you use a microphone like that, and that microphone I'm holding costs less than $20. It has a 20-foot cord on it. It is called a corded lavalier. And you can actually type in iPad lavalier into Amazon or even into Google and shop on Google. It will pull up a million options for that microphone. Go ahead and just read the reviews. Find one that has a high star rating that people are satisfied with. And if you get 20 feet back from your camera, and you have that lavalier running right up underneath your shirt and just kind of clipped to your lapel right there, it'll sound warm. It'll sound like you're right there in front of the camera, even though you're standing far away. Very cool.
All right, awesome. So I'm getting a bunch of questions that are coming in, which is awesome. Audience, thank you for that, and keep those questions coming. One of the questions we have is quality better on an iPad or an iPhone? Curious.
Okay. It depends upon how old the device is. If you're talking about like a 2017 or a 2018 model, an iPad Pro versus like, an iPhone 8 or something like that, the video is pretty much comparable. It really depends upon where you're posting the video. So this is what you have to keep in mind. If you're posting video on Facebook, on YouTube, on Instagram, most videos are going to be streamed in 720p. Okay, that's 720 HD progressive signal. That's what that stands for. All you really need to know is that most people looking at that video are not going to be able to tell the difference between that and a 4K image when they're viewing it on their computer screen or on their mobile device. And statistically speaking, all that video that is consumed on a daily basis, it's more and more and more of it is being consumed on a mobile device, which means that it doesn't matter how great the video resolution is, it's being squashed down to a little screen that's this big, and this is how people are consuming it, right? Yeah. So yes, the cameras on the newer iPads and iPhones are amazing. They're so incredible. And you can take those cameras, you can put them in a professional video production system or a video editing system. You can edit this video and make it look amazing and then put it up on a huge screen in your living room and it's going to look stellar. Put it on an 80-inch screen and you're going to see every detail. But that's not how people are consuming marketing video.
Well, and yeah, so if you're pushing your video onto the web, it really doesn't matter. You could have an older iPhone or an older iPad and it's still going to be just fine.
Absolutely.
Which is a nice dovetail to that question from my buddy Jolenta Averill. Hi, Jolenta. It's been too long. So yeah, she was asking, what if you have an older iPad? But it's not a problem. It's not a problem as long as you're using it, as you're pushing the data to the right place.
If you look at that slide that you had up there where you see the iPad sitting on top of the tripod, I created an entire marketing video on that iPad. That is a second generation iPad. And it shoots in 720 HD. And that is typical for the resolution that most people are consuming video in when it's uploaded to YouTube or Vimeo or Facebook or Instagram. The bigger the size of the video, if you were to step up from a 720 HD to a 1080 HD, it's a bigger video file. It's not going to stream as smoothly for people that don't have a ultra high speed connection. And if you're sending out a marketing message, you want people to consume it. You don't want it to be glitchy. You don't want the video to freeze and then they have to back out of it and go back into it.
Right.
You want it to be simple. You want it to stream smoothly. You want people to be able to consume your whole message. So having great resolution, but balancing that against file size and what it takes to stream it, that's important. Yeah. Typically for marketing on the internet, I would say 720 is perfect.
This is a great example of why I invited you to be here. Thank you so much for this, because I think, a lot of us get caught up in, hey, I didn't upgrade to an iPhone X yet. I don't know if I can still do video. And I think the big message here is absolutely you can, and you need to get started doing that for sure. So, we've talked about camera, right? So you've got your iPhone, you've got your iPad, whatever. What about Android?
So Android, I mean, my gosh, I'm a big fan of Apple. So I call kind of everything else the dark side. However, I will say this about the dark side. Samsung has done amazing things. And of course, any kind of Android device at this point is going to be able to, you're going to be able to edit on it. You're going to be able to shoot beautiful pictures and video. It doesn't really matter what your mobile device is, as long as you have a tablet or a smartphone that's capable of downloading and utilizing editing software and has a camera on it that shoots in at least 720, which really, the cameras that that maxed out at 720, those cameras became obsolete, 6-8 years ago. So every camera now shoots better than that. So I would say that you're pretty much safe no matter what camera you use, as long as you have a smartphone or a mobile device, a tablet that was made within, the past 7 or 8 years, you're probably going to be shooting in better resolution than you even need.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So well done. Good. That's a great tip for sure. Now, before we move on to the next segment here, where we're going to talk about lighting, we're getting a lot of questions coming in about editing software, and most specifically, hey, I'm not a pro, right? What's a good program for me to use as a non-video professional guy? What should I be using, Cory?
So there are two that I highly recommend if you're going to be doing your editing directly on your mobile device. And these two I recommend for a couple reasons. Number one, they allow you to record audio directly into the editing program as the video is playing. So you can hit play on the video, and as it's going, you can actually voice over your own video on the fly, which is really nice. The second thing is that both of these have a professional grade platform for your computer that you can upgrade to. So if you ever get really comfortable editing on the mobile device and you're thinking, I'd like some more bells and whistles, I just wish I could do this or that, they have another step where you can go beyond that and kind of take it to a completely new level. And once you utilize that more robust editing system, you don't open it up and are lost right away. A lot of what you see in that more professional editing platform is reminiscent of the mobile platform you've already used. And so it's easy to kind of just continue your learning curve.
Gotcha. Nice.
So the two I recommend are iMovie and Pinnacle Pro. Now, iMovie is an Apple program. So if you're using an iOS device, an Apple device, it's going to be very friendly for that. And then, of course, the desktop version that you can upgrade to is called Final Cut Pro. And Final Cut Pro is even typical to be used in professional video production. A lot of video production studios use that. The second one, Pinnacle Pro, is very friendly for Android devices. It's also very friendly for Apple devices. It allows pretty much the same options as iMovie. It's got a couple different bells and whistles. You can download kind of a free user version of that to try it out against iMovie and see if you like it. And if you do, then there's Pinnacle Studio Pro that you can download to your laptop or your computer if you ever want to take it to the next level. Both of them very robust programs, but super easy to use.
Gotcha. Awesome. Very cool. Now, one question from Rose is Final Cut Pro available on Windows OS? Is it a Windows product? I don't know.
No, it is an Apple product, and actually it's downloadable from the App Store. So if you were looking for that, you'd probably you'd have to be on the Apple App Store to be able to get it.
Gotcha. Awesome. Thank you, Cory. Appreciate the answers there. So let's move into lighting, because, I got to tell you, this was an area that I was struggling with. I just didn't get what I didn't get here. So that's why I asked you to give me these images here, because I doubt anyone has any clue what temperature a light is. So feed our brains, Cory.
So a lot of times people set up their video and they think to themselves, why does this doesn't look, it looks bad. Why does it look so bad, right? If you were to ask any director or producer from the, it doesn't matter what level video production they do, what consumes the most time when you're shooting video and what separates a really great video from a not great video, the answer is always lighting. And I'll tell you, in professional video production, I spend a lot of time making sure that the guys who handle our lighting for pitch video, those guys are just, they are sculptors with light. They are craftsmen. They're amazing. Now, That said, I have some lighting on me right now, and we set it up very fast. So you'll see things in this image that we would normally get rid of in professional video production, like the reflection on my headset, the light that's showing up in our monitor right there. You know, this is all, you know, that's kind of faux pas in our world. But I will say this, if you're talking about color temperature, which is what you just mentioned, color temperature is something that most people don't grasp. However, if you've bought an LED light bulb in the past 5 years, then you probably understand that there are different hues that you can select, right? If you go into Home Depot and you look at the LED lights, there's one that says daylight, and then there's another one that says, you know, soft white or warm white, you know, that's color temperature. LED bulbs these days are capable of, you know, changing the color temperature just based upon how the LED is made. But those color temperatures of daylight and soft white are 56,000 degrees Kelvin all the way down to 27,000 degrees Kelvin. So, or 2,700, I'm sorry, not 1,000, 2,700 degrees Kelvin. So what you're talking about are, that's referred to as color temperature. A standard incandescent light bulb that everyone's been using for, you know, ever in their homes, that is about 27 to 32 Kelvin. It's called 27K to 32K in the video production world. However, if you walk outdoors on a cloudy day, it's more like 50K, or if it's a sunny day, it's 56K. Right. 50 or 56K is blue light. 27 to 32K is yellow light. And when you mix those two, it can look really bad on camera.
Which is exactly the problem that you solved for me, because I used to set up for all of our webinars with fluorescent lights. Like, I think it's called a softbox there that's on the screen now. And, you know, I was like, all right, I got plenty of light. I'm doing great. And then I'd almost have like a sepia tone in the image. It didn't come out feeling like it should. And I just couldn't understand why it looks so different on the screen than it did in reality. Sure. And then, of course, you know, we had our conversation. So, you know, so far, guys, you get it in the audience, right? There's a lot of technical stuff here that you can overcome with the technology you already have, and just a little bit of knowledge applied the right way. And then there's a whole other set of hurdles, right? The whole other set of hurdles that you have to jump is, well, where do I use it? How do I use it? Right? It's one thing to have video. It's another thing to do, quote, video marketing. And if you Google that, you'll see it's like a never-ending subject, right? This was just a quick image search here. There are 1,000 companies out there that are telling you how to do these things, and there are 1,000 different ways for you to invest your money. And yet, at the same time, we're all familiar with things like YouTube. You know, a lot of you in the questions I got before the session started, it was, hey, I've been pushing stuff to YouTube for a long time. I don't know that it's really working. What can I do about it? And, you know, so before you start to answer that question, I'd like to draw a little divide in the mind of the audience here, because, you know, Cory is a world-class, he's the world-class product guy, right? There's no one better you can possibly hire to help you sell a product. And yet most of you who are likely here with me are not really selling a product. Like, if you're in real estate, for example, you're the product, right? People hire you because they know, like, and trust you. Of course, you can benefit from using video of the property. That goes without saying. However, you wouldn't use the same approach to sell, say, a Nintendo Wii, right? Right, Cory?
Oh, geez. Yeah, I had to bring that up.
Yeah, I had to bring that up. So for those of you who don't know, Cory is like a viral sensation, because when he was live on air, was that at HSN or QVC?
No, that was HSN. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up.
The short of it is, I play tennis. I love to play tennis, and I've got a wicked serve. And I was on the air selling the Wii, and they counted me down in my ear. They said, Cory, we're going live in 3, 2, 1. And I started serving the tennis ball, and I brought the remote up, and when I brought my hand down, the little tennis racket attachment flew off the end of the remote, smashed into a 60-inch LCD screen TV, shattered it live on the air. that little tennis racket reflected off the TV and slid all the way back across the floor in the studio out in the hallway. It was about like 50 feet. Camera operators jumping up in the air and sliding under their feet. My show host started laughing so hard she became completely useless. She walked right off the air and was leaning against the wall, shaking with laughter. And the producer is telling me in my ear, Cory, I can't come back to you and show the shattered TV. I can't do that. Incidentally, we ended up selling out the Wii in that presentation. We sold over 700.
Just fantastic. So, I mean, that's one of the things I always love about live television, live theater. You just never know what's going to happen, and
it's live.
You can definitely roll with it for sure. Now, I want to focus this next discussion here really clearly from the angle of how to sell yourself on video, right? So, I pulled up this slide here. I mean, there's a term today that a lot of people use in my industry, the software as a service industry, called a VSL, or a video sales letter. And it's where we put together a video that takes a prospect from wherever they are on the internet and gets them to the point where they're ready to make a purchase decision for a product or a service. And the screenshot here is, of course, from your website, Cory. So we'll talk about that a bit more.
What happened to my neck? It's gone.
Stop working out. That's all. Just stop working out. You'll be fine.
I've shrunk since then, apparently.
And so for those of you who are joining us here today, and maybe you're in real estate or insurance or mortgage or title, a video sales letter is not the go-to solution that you need to have in your video marketing arsenal. Where if you're showing testimonials, that can go a huge way, right? Let your clients who love you tell your potential clients what they love about you, how great you are. Let their enthusiasm carry over to these people who will make a decision whether to hire you or not. So, quickly, I want you to follow me on this path, audience. This is like a crystal clear path for each and every one of you. You need to always have that little bit of equipment with you, your audio solution, right? And your iPhone and a tripod and a little mount for it. And when you're with someone, maybe it's a closing, maybe you're out at the property with them and they're just really thanking you, you need to be able to say, you know what, I'd love it if you'd put that on video for me, and have the stuff with you so you can just go ahead and capture that testimonial. We've been doing that for...
Let me say this real quick, Dan. You were talking about having the equipment with you. And, what I was describing with lighting, that would be 3 or 4 lights with you. It could take you a little while to set that up. But if you have basic video production knowledge, just knowing what needs to be in the background, the way a person should be facing, how to direct light. I mean, I can tell you how to direct light with something that'll cost you $4, and it'll make a video look amazing just that fast. If you have those little strategies, it'll make all the difference, and you'll go from a testimonial that looks like your neighbor stumbled over before they had their coffee in the morning to somebody who's actually...
Cory, I lost you. Are you there?
Oh, I got you. There you are.
Hey, there you are. All right. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but welcome back.
All right.
Okay. So there's a question from the audience here about the lighting solution you recommend for people who are just getting started in video. Well, first, let me just interject my own thing here, because I bought, I think it was like a $130 kit from Amazon. And that was before I knew the difference between the incandescent. I didn't know light temperature, right? I wish I had bought the LED, because the others are such a pain in the butt to set up and break down. This is just a much better solution.
Sure. So I would say this: there are kind of 2 different ways you can go when you're buying lighting. You can buy either a fluorescent or a halogen kit, which is very much what you're talking about, Dan. It's got that big soft box that you have to put together, and if you get a really cheap one, then there's a million screws and little rods, and it's really time consuming and difficult to put together and to transport. And I'm not a big fan, because then when you're talking about changing the color temperature of the bulb, you have to have orange gel or blue gel, which are just clear pieces of plastic that you use, clothespins to put over the light to change the color temperature, to match everything in the background. It can be very difficult. What I prefer is a 3 or a 4 light LED set. Now, if you go to Amazon right now, you can buy a 3 light LED set. I think it's $250. I was just looking a couple days ago for a buddy of mine. And that LED light set actually has a dial on the back that you can dial all the way down to 2700, which is typical interior incandescent light bulbs, all the way up to 56K, which is straight on direct daylight. You know, the light pouring in through the windows of your house. If you're looking to match lighting, it's the easiest way to do it. And remember, if you're shooting on a mobile device of any kind, the camera is automatically going to choose the best iris settings and the best color settings to make the image look good. If you have mixed lighting, it doesn't know what to do, and it starts shifting the color settings, and that's when you get that amateur looking video. So the LED light sets, I'm much more fond of them. They're easy to set up. Most of them can run on batteries, so you don't even have to have power supplies with you. If you have batteries, just clip them on the back. Because they're LED, they'll run for hours on a battery, which is great. And you can dial in that color temperature or even the intensity of the light. You can dial it down, make it dimmer, make it brighter. It's my preferred solution.
Awesome. So I'm excited about that because I'm going to order them. These softbox ones that I have, every time I set them up and break them down, it's like a 20-minute deal. Oh, and, yeah. Earlier before we got started or before we went live and you turned the camera around and you showed me your lighting setup, I think they're all LED there, aren't they?
Oh, they are. Do you want to see it again? Should I show everyone?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Lighting? Okay, hold on a minute here. I've got to unplug the power cord on my laptop so we can see this. So let me show you what's around me right now. First of all, if you notice, my face is very evenly lit. I have a little kiss of light on my shoulder right here that helps separate me from the background behind me so I don't just blend in. I'm not 2D. You got to remember, a video screen is a 2-dimensional device. So anything you do to create 3 dimensions is really an illusion, right? Well, this light on my shoulder helps to create that illusion. The whole room has ambient light in it. It makes a big difference. And the color temperature is balanced. So you're not seeing yellow light and blue light. It's all very balanced. Here's what it took to do that. Now, my production manager ran in here and threw this together for me at the last minute. But nothing that I'm showing you here is a strategy that's beyond you. So the first thing, this little kiss on my shoulder here, that's my backlight. You see it up there? That's one of those LED light panels I was telling you about. It's just, on the end of a stand, and it's right up kind of over my head, creating that little kiss of light. Now, if I turn my camera around above me, I've got a fluorescent light that was right over my head, and it was hitting me really hard on the top of the head. So we put a little screen in front of it that just kind of, makes that light a little dimmer so it wasn't hitting me so hard. Right here, that is a light that's just bouncing off the ceiling, and that's creating ambient light all over the room. And then here is my key light and my fill light. And those are terms that you might not be familiar with, but basically that's what provides even light on my face and keeps the entire image very, very balanced. So in play right now, we have 4 lights and a screen over my head to create this balanced image that you're seeing. But all the lighting in this room, you can probably purchase everything I just showed you with very few exceptions for less than $500.
Wow. Okay.
You just have to know what to get.
Yeah, some people will be like, "Oh my gosh, that's way more than I'm willing to do." Not so much in terms of the dollars, but just looking at that setup, that seems like, gosh, if I'm getting a testimonial from someone, that's a lot of steps to go through. And yet that's the difference between having, a shot like what I'm looking at the screen right here now with Kevin Harrington. That looks like it was taken from, professional television, right? It doesn't look like it was shot just, in a few minutes because, I needed a testimonial. So one of the things that we talked about was the ability to use some like inexpensive household items to solve a lighting problem. So, if I'm, say, outdoors, if I'm a real estate agent and I want to get a testimonial from someone, I'm going to want to make sure that I put the light behind me, right? I want the sun behind me, so it's behind the camera and it's coming on the front of their faces. And sometimes it might be like way too bright or not bright enough. There might be a dark area. So, you know, what's the $4 solution to that problem?
Okay. So when you're outdoors, especially if you're in direct daylight, you have two options. You can either knock down the light on the person, or you can bring up the light on the person to try and get rid of some of those really harsh shadows, especially if the sun is overhead. It's noon and, you know, it's making your eye sockets look like you're Herman Munster and, you know, you got all those deep shadows on your face. The best way to compete with that is to either shoot in the shade, which is the easiest solution, right? Stand somebody in the shade, and not spotty shade under a tree where they've got little spots dancing around on their head as they're moving and, you know, it's coming through the leaves, but solid shade. And more importantly, make sure that the shade continues in the background, because if you put your person speaking in the shade and then it's solid daylight behind them lighting up something very bright, then the camera on your mobile device is trying to decide, do I focus on what's dark or on what's bright? And it shifts and goes back and forth because it doesn't know what to do. So the best way to have a balanced shot is put somebody in the shade and have shade behind them as well. That'll keep it nice and balanced, because really shaded daylight is diffuse light. It's very friendly light. It's what a lot of professional video studios try and create indoors, is that same effect. Now, the second way that you can make lighting look beautiful is by running down to Home Depot or Lowe's and buying a piece of foam board insulation, okay? Because those 4x8 panels usually have a white side and a reflective silver side. Take that 4x8 panel, use a razor knife and cut it in half. Now you have two 4x4 foot sections. You can run some duct tape around the edges just to protect them so they don't break apart. Those reflectors will be your best friend. That foam board insulation will cost you about $8. And now you have two professional reflectors that compete with anything any video production crew could have. As a matter of fact, on our 1-ton grip truck, we have 4 of those because we use them all the time. And all you do is you step off into the distance where you have some direct sunlight, you angle that reflector to catch the sunlight and reflect it at your subject. Now, you're going to have to tell your subject in advance, this is going to be bright. Right. I'm warning you, if you use the silver side, it's going to be extremely bright. If you use the white side, it won't be as bad for them. But having that little pop of light, especially if they're standing in the shade, makes your subject just jump off the screen. All attention, no matter what's going on back here, all attention of the viewer goes right to the person who's talking to the camera. And those just a couple lighting techniques that'll really, really help you to create some beautiful lighting effects. As a matter of fact, if you take one of those bounce cards and you get around off camera behind the person talking and shoot the light at them from behind to create this little kiss of light like I have on my shoulder here, once again, something else that separates them and makes them jump off the screen in their video. Nice. Awesome. Those are great tips. So I'm going through, we've got a ton of questions that have poured in here. Sure. And there's one about the picture that's on the screen now. Is it possible using an iOS device to keep the tight focus on the subject and let the background fade, blur a little bit like it is in this photo? Okay, so that photo that you're looking at was taken on a $20,000 camera with a lens that cost $2,800. So trying to create that on a mobile device is very difficult, even with lens attachments. And here's why. When you're talking about a shallow cinematic depth of field like that, you can only achieve so much of it on a mobile device, because that effect is created by the size of the sensor in the camera and how much light you can get through a lens. Now, mobile devices are made to be extremely friendly so that people can just pull them out, hit record, and instantly everything is in razor sharp focus. Right. It's never going to struggle. Everything, it just looks beautiful all the time. So to create that shallow depth of field is a little bit more of a struggle, but this you can do. If you're using a mobile device, most of them in this day and age, you can get it up close to your subject. So you see right here, we're very close on Kevin. That camera is only a couple feet away from him, and we specifically set him in a position where the background would go far off into the distance. Gotcha. The more depth you have behind you, the more you can have that depth go out of focus, right? So
yeah, it's a great look, and yet I know my audience isn't going to rush out and buy that $20,000 camera and that
no,
2,000 whatever dollar lens.
but here
So
you can do this. You can use your iPad or your iPhone, and you know how you touch the screen and it'll get its focus or get
yeah,
its iris setting. If you move the camera, it then changes that, right? But if you hold your finger on the screen, it'll lock it in, and then it won't change until you unlock it. So instead of just touching your screen to get a focus and an iris setting, touch it and then hold your finger there until it says that it's locked. Now
awesome.
you've locked it in that particular focus range, and that gives you your best chance, along with a lot of depth behind your subject, to be able to throw that out of focus and get that cinematic result.
Gotcha. So yeah, let's do the math on that. 20,000 plus, or hold your finger down for a moment. I think I know what I'm willing to do there for sure.
You're talking me out of my $20,000 camera.
Hey, well, you know, I know that camera's important, right? So
it is. There's a lot it can do, yes.
you know, with your video production facility and the type of work that you do, you absolutely have to have that. There's no doubt. And
No doubt.
you know, I think it's wonderful that you've joined us to share how it is that people can use this knowledge that you've shared with them, with the stuff they've already got, and then just a few other things which really aren't that expensive. You know,
Right.
One of the comments I have here from my buddy Julie Zemelis all the way out in Hawaii is, you know what, a brokerage could buy those lights and the agents could share them. How helpful would that be, right? I mean, that
Or
would
if
be a
you,
good thing.
do your agents have clients who come into an office to do the paperwork, having a setup
Right.
that was already there when you want to grab those testimonials from somebody who just signed on the bottom line and said, yes, I want to buy this home, and I want to buy it from you because I know you and I trust you and I like you, and you're the person who I would want to go on vacation with, because that's the kind of rapport you want to have with your client. So if you have that kind of rapport and you want to get a testimonial in that exciting moment when they're signing on the bottom line, having that setup already there makes it streamlined and easy to grab that in the moment when it's really the best time to get it.
That's awesome. So Eileen Laserte here in Hawaii, she says her brokerage already has them and they're set up. That's awesome.
Good.
So yeah, shout out to Hawaii Beach and Golf Properties on the Big Island. That's awesome, Eileen.
Beautiful.
So I'm looking at the time here. We've preserved some time for some Q&A. And at the same time, I want to make sure that our audience knows where to find you. So, you know, there's here, I've just changed the slide here for you. So
Okay.
yeah, tell us where they can go to find more, Cory.
Okay. Well, there are two different sides to my company. There is Pitch Video Premium, which is just at pitchvideo.com. And that is our professional video production company where we service major clients and major marketing companies every day of the week. But there's another place you can find me, and that's at pitchvideodiy.com. Now, Pitch Video DIY was specifically created to help people who could not or did not yet have the resources to be able to hire Pitch Video Premium, right? So Pitch Video Premium is going to have that full creative staff and professional script writers and videographers and directors and editors all behind the project. But if you just need enough video production knowledge to be able to execute it yourself and do an outstanding job with messaging and with your video production system, then Pitch Video DIY was created specifically to cater to that person.
Very cool. Very cool. So do that, folks. Head over to pitchvideodiy.com. Cory shared that course with me. I have watched the entire curriculum that's there, and I got to tell you, I'm a fan of it. So
well, thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. That meant a lot coming from you, because when, you know, I've known you for a little while, and let me tell you, the marketing knowledge, just the genius that resides in your head.
Blah, 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 blah. I appreciate it, Cory. My audience knows me, and you know what? I want to make sure that the audience understands fully and exactly what you're offering here in this course, because what we've done here over the past almost hour is give them, you know, a little bit more than enough to be dangerous, right? They can really get out there and make some improvements over what they've done.
Certainly.
And yet there's no way to answer all their questions. There's no way to provide all the education that you do in this video series.
Right.
So if you remember when you shared this with me, I called you afterwards and it sucked me in. I watched like session after session after session. And each time I went through, I was like, oh my God, I'm doing this wrong. I'm screwing that up. Oh no. It's like these little things just compound and compound and compound.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about where we're going to be able to take our business with what we've learned from you in this series. So,
Yeah.
you know, thank you for producing that for sure. And
Oh,
again,
you're
folks,
welcome.
that's up at pitchvideodiy.com. You're welcome to go there and check it out.
Yep.
And I've kind of cut you off there when you're, you know, being so nice to me, Cory. I'm sorry about that. I really want to make sure that our audience has time to get any questions we might not have answered
Sure.
here in the last few minutes. So,
and remember, the Pitch Video DIY video series is 5 videos that we took everything that we knew about professional video production and everything that I know about how to emotionally resonate with a customer and lead them toward the buying decision. Everything from scripting and audio to lighting and how to use your iOS device as a camera, you know, editing. We even have a bonus video in there with Kevin Harrington and I on camera talking about the top 10 things a shark looks for in a product pitch. You know, there's all kinds of value in there, but the idea behind that video series was specifically to help answer everyone's questions and strip down the entire video production and sales message creation process to something that was very easily executable and based on formulas that work, that we know work on platforms all over the web. So, you know, if your question doesn't get answered today, chances are the answer is probably somewhere in that video series.
Yeah, so I've got a list of answers. That's pretty funny. List of questions. How about that?
Let's do it.
One of them is here from my buddy Chris Wolnowitz in Toledo, Ohio. Love that dude, by the way. Great group of people. And he like me wears glasses, and so he's concerned about glare on the glasses. What do we do about that?
That's a tough one. Let me tell you, when I was on the air at HSN, some of my favorite show hosts loved working with them, but until they discovered non-reflective, you know, glasses, it was horrible every time they turned into camera, because of course in a studio you have lighting everywhere, right? So they actually do make lenses that are specific to reduction of glare to get rid of that. But there's not really a coating. Some people claim that there's a coating you can put on them. I've found that none of that really works. You really need to go to your optometrist and say, hey, the next set of glasses, the next set of lenses I want, I need glare-free lenses. And they will provide you with lenses that when they catch the light, they disperse it so it doesn't give you that, you know, doesn't cut off your eyeballs. You can actually see your eyes the whole time.
That's a good tip. Now, Chris, buddy, here's what I did. I took my glasses off and I put my contacts in just for you guys today. So, you know, trying to solve the problem that way is kind of a simple thing too. So more questions here. How do I use my videos to generate more direct inquiries? I love that question because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. Salespeople need conversations. They need content that gets people to reach out and talk with them.
Yep. And it's all about building that relationship. So let me tell you very quickly the difference in sales. There's really 2 different kinds of sales. There's hard sales and soft sales. And hard sale looks for the purchase in the moment, right? Think of every infomercial you've ever seen. That's the call to action, you know, that's it. And then there's soft sales, and soft sales really is about building rapport with the customer, creating a relationship with the person watching so that they don't just know who you are, they like who you are. They trust who you are. They feel connected to you so that before they ever even place the phone call, before you even have to have a sales conversation with somebody, they're already a warm audience. And you do that by constantly creating video so that you draw people into your world and into your life. You have a presence with them daily or weekly or twice a week where they start to feel this connection with you. And then the sales is a byproduct of that.
So, you know, you've reminded me of our buddy Rondi Lambeth. He's another member of our board of advisors group, and his expertise is credit repair. He has a company called Fortress Credit, And practically every day he does a big long Facebook live stream while he's driving into work. And so, you know, we feel like we're connected to him. He's sharing part of his life with us. He's answering questions. He's providing valuable content, but he's not sell.
Right.
So, you know, that's a setup I'd personally like to copy. I want to figure out how he's doing that and driving at the same time. You know, that would be good.
You got to remember a very simple component, and this is something that I learned just about a decade ago. I learned that information is now free and plentiful, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's tons of it everywhere, but people aren't looking for just all the information they can find. They're looking for someone that they trust to give them the information that they want. So it's not really about the information itself anymore, because they can find tons of that for free everywhere. It's about trusting the person who's giving it to you, so you know you can rely on that information. And then that results in the sales down the road, which I love Facebook Live. I think it's one of the most authentic ways that you can continue to engage with your customer.
Yeah, well, speaking of Facebook, we have a question here from Laura Pentecost. She's asking what type of videos work on Facebook ads where you don't know the end user. And you know, I actually have some thoughts here for you, Laura, because we've experimented quite a bit with Facebook advertising at Happy Grasshopper. And our most successful experiment was using a marketing technique called the information gap. So, you know, think of what you mentioned, you're in real estate. Think of what a lot of real estate agents do. They take all the information they have and they spit it out everywhere. What we've discovered is more effective is to make people curious about how that information affects them so that they'll reach out to you to have that conversation. So that's the information gap, right? You get them really interested and you leave that curiosity unresolved, so they have to reach out to you. So
you bring up a very good point, Dan. A lot of people who create video, especially for social networking, they get to the end of their video and then they think, well, now it's time to close the sale. But an ad of any kind is really never designed to close the sale. It's just designed to arouse enough curiosity that people click away to find out more. And it's on that, depending upon how expensive your product is. If it's a $20 product, then when they click away, close the sale on that landing page. But if it's not, if they're interested in buying a home, if they're interested in a realtor, something like that, then the sales conversation comes later on after you've created the relationship. But that ad is only designed to arouse curiosity.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. That's great advice, and I would completely agree with that. So going back here to more questions, let's see, we have a few coming in. Let's see here. So I have content on YouTube already. How would you better distribute and market that material to generate more leads and appointments? And, you know, again, I know you're the production wizard and expert. I have some thoughts about this. You're welcome to answer as well. So what do you think? How do you think they should do that, Cory?
Well, I think that you're going to be able to speak to that side of things probably with more expertise than myself.
Okay.
But I can say this. Understand that on a YouTube video, people go to YouTube to watch a video, right? So on Facebook, when a video comes up, you have 3 seconds with no audio to grab somebody's attention. You can't use a YouTube video on Facebook, and a Facebook video is really not designed for YouTube. YouTube, people go there as a destination, right? So when they land on the page with your video, it's going to play for 10 or 15 seconds before they even have a chance to click away. Their volume is turned up. They're anticipating the video that they're actually there to watch. Your ad comes up in advance. You have a much longer time period to grab somebody and keep them curious enough to keep watching, about 10 to 15 seconds. So just make sure that when you're engineering your videos, you understand that there's different engineering for different platforms, and don't try and make one video to cover everything, because it won't.
Yeah, that makes great sense. And, you know, in terms of content that's going to generate leads and appointments, we've got to be context specific here. So let's imagine that you have a year's worth of leads sitting in your CRM system. And these are people who've requested a comp, right? They want to know their home's value in whatever market they're in. So you could prepare a video and you can share it with them in whatever format you choose. And that would answer part of their question. right? So that's going to create more engagement from those. That will allow you to book those appointments coming from that. Earlier in the session here, I asked people if they need our help at Happy Grasshopper to go to happygrasshopper.com/apply. That page happens to be a pretty good example of a way to use testimonial video to help schedule appointments. So the whole reason people would go to that page is to schedule an appointment with us to find out if we're a good fit for them. And while they're on that page, there's a bunch of different testimonial videos that they can view there. And Cory, if you go there, I'm sure you'll have tips for me about how to improve them, because we recorded all of those before we know what to do with you. So let's see here. How can we reduce echo in a video? That's a good question. Take that one, Cory. You're going to crush that one.
Okay, so there's a couple of different ways. First of all, trying to get echo out of a video after the fact, after it's recorded, is extremely difficult. It's one of the things that audio engineers struggle with. Once that echo is recorded, trying to remove it is very difficult. Now, I will say this: if you have a professional video production or video editing system, if you're using Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro, Pinnacle Pro Studio, if you're using something like that, then you can typically download plugins, and they're going to cost you $100 a piece, $200 a piece or more, that will help you eliminate that echo. But for most amateur users, I wouldn't suggest doing that, especially if you're looking to just create video on your mobile device. The best thing to do is to eliminate the echo to begin with. Now, the best way to do that is to use two things. Number one, that lavalier mic that I showed you earlier for whoever's speaking, because that gets the voice very close to the camera. And that lavalier mic has what's called a pickup pattern, meaning it only picks up in a certain diameter around it, right? A certain circumference of pickup, and it tries to ignore everything beyond that. So unlike the microphone, which is on your phone or on your iPad, which is just designed to pick up everything, that little lavalier is designed to reject everything beyond a certain distance from it. So that will help. Also, use a soft environment. So if you are in a basketball court, obviously that is not the best place to record video without echo. You would be better off in a place that has carpet, has curtains, has plush furniture, that kind of thing, because all of those materials are going to absorb sound and eliminate any kind of echo or reverb. If you have to shoot in an environment that does echo, then the best thing you can do is bring in some of those soft things. We've taken stands in advance before, like we've taken clothing racks and actually hung blankets around the person who's talking. You don't see them on camera, they're out here to the sides, but we've created an entire horseshoe-shaped blanket around somebody so that when their voice came out, it was absorbed by those blankets and reduced all that echo.
Well, so I can imagine, and Jerry, who asked the question, I don't know what Jerry does for a living, but I'm going to assume he's in real estate, and maybe there's a totally vacant house, right? And he wants to shoot some video inside the house and maybe describe it as he walks through. Well, he's going to get different sound levels bouncing off different rooms, hardwood floors, carpet, tile. It's all going to be different and change. So my advice to you, Jerry, would be not to record the sound while you're doing the tour. Walk through and then use one of these simple programs like iMovie to record good audio over the top of the video, right?
Yes.
You can fix that in editing super easy. Just eliminate the original audio track and then add that new one over the top of it.
Yeah, you can certainly do that. And actually, when you're recording that audio over the top, do it in a soft environment. Walk into your walk-in closet where you have all those clothes hanging around.
Nice.
Close the door. And believe me, you couldn't ask for a warmer environment. As a matter of fact, a lot of professional voiceover artists that you think are standing in some big highfalutin studio, they're not. They're standing in their walk-in closet.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, Cory, I could talk to you all day, and we still have a ton of people here, and I know there are a bunch of questions. I'm looking at it being 4:09, and I know you have a commitment, and we're keeping you too long. So please, Cory, accept my apologies for running over, and my sincere thanks for your joining us today. I learned a ton, as I always do every time we get together. do you have any final words here for our audience before we wrap it up?
You know, I feel very, very privileged to be able to speak to your audience, Dan, because I know what kind of guy you are. You're just a really, really warm, quality person. You know, for you folks that have seen Dan before, let me tell you, what you see on video carries through to every other part of his life. I mean, you're seeing what you get, and I love him to pieces. So the idea that I could be in front of your audience, if, you know, they say you can judge a parent by the children, right? Look at the kids and you'll discover how great the parent is. Well, I know the parent, so I can only accept the fact that your audience is just as quality as you are, Dan. So thank you for having me.
Well, you're welcome, Cory. And you know, to you who are still on the line with us, thank you very much for your time today. We have a whole entire, you just won't believe how deep the bench is of awesome webinars that we're putting together for you this year. So we kicked off with my good buddy Mark Ensign with his personal branding wisdom. Then we introduced Laurel Starks, of course, from the Divorce Real Estate Institute. And today I've brought you the king of video, Mr. Cory Bergeron himself. So stay tuned, folks. We've got more great content coming for you in the weeks ahead. And I'm looking forward to seeing tons of you around the country this year. My book, Seriously Happy Selling, is going to hit the market here in March, and I am joining the Explode Tour to travel all around the country and talk about it. So I'll see you soon. Thanks, everybody. Bye now.